All right, I just wanted to mention something with regards to container independence. I keep hammering this point in, and this is almost the last time that I'm going to mention it. So the idea is that certain relationship types are based on .NET types, and they don't bind you to Autofac. So if you use things like lazy_ft and funct, then if you decide to abandon Autofac, for example, you can go ahead and use another container without too many changes, and you'll find that in some other containers the behavior is exactly the same, but it's not really guaranteed. But at least you're not going to have a problem of, recompiling your code. You are going to have a problem maybe reconfiguring the containers somehow, because different DI containers work differently, and some of them might not know that lazy_ft implies lazy instantiation and access to the component. But at least, you have this option of just throwing away the Autofac assembly, and everything should be fine in terms of your core domain classes. But some of the relationship types that we've seen, like owner_ft and INDEX_ft, these are Autofac types. And so these types kind of bind you to Autofac in the sense that your Autofac support starts leaking into your domain model. And the question is whether you are okay with it. Do you like it? Because it's really not a situation where you can reasonably manage. Now, I know what you're thinking. Some of you are thinking, well, I'm just going to take owner_ft, I'm going to inherit from it, and whenever I change my model, I will simply change the base class of whatever I inherited from. But no, that's not going to work. And in actual fact, if you try to do that, you'll see that Autofac will not recognize inheritors of its own types as implicit relationships. So if you inherit something from owner_ft, Autofac is not going to start treating it as an owner_ft, unfortunately. So that is a problem that you're going to encounter. So you cannot simply write class my owned_ft inherits from owned_ft and then sort of go ahead and inject that, because that will just cause exceptions. It simply will not work. So this is a warning that I wanted to give you once again. It really depends on whether you want to go all in with a particular dependency injection container, because quite typically what happens in large projects is people see some feature of some other dependency injection container and they realize that they absolutely must have this feature, and therefore they try to jump ship. And if you do start depending on the container, then jumping ship is very difficult. So let me give you an example, like the Unity container by Microsoft, which by the way isn't really being maintained right now, but it has this wonderful feature, or some people might find it wonderful. And the feature is this. The feature allows you to resolve a component even when it hasn't been registered. And if you try to resolve something that hasn't been registered, it just tries its best to guess how to construct it. Now, this is a very useful feature. I'm getting a bit tired here of having register type all over the place, although in some cases it is required. You can't even start the component without certain arguments, for example, but generally it is a useful feature. So this is the kind of feature you might want to jump ship for, but if you do, just be careful with all the dependencies that you've dragged in.